After damn near 30 years in the game, Nas has finally won a Grammy for Rap Album of the Year for King's Disease. Welcome to the Bar for Bar podcast, and this week I'm going to talk to you guys about my thoughts on the Grammys this year, the awards, the nominees, all that, at least in terms of hip-hop. Before we get into the podcast itself, if you haven't watched the last couple of videos, I have released new merch. Half of the profits are going to be going directly to the farmers' protest in India, so please read up on it, and please support if you can. The link will be in the description below. Now, getting into the topic of today's podcast, the Grammys. This is the 63rd annual Grammys, and this is one of the few times that I was actually more interested, and the only reason was because of the nominees that we got for Best Rap Album. So obviously, Nas for King's Disease. We had Freddie Gibbs and The Alchemist for Alfredo. Jay Electronica for A Written Testimony. Then D-Smoke for Black Habits. And Royce da 5'9" for The Allegory. Now, like I said at the top of it, we already know that Nas has won for King's Disease. And if you're watching the video, you can kind of tell that I was hoping that Freddie Gibbs would have won, hence the bandana shirt and Alfredo hat. But that's besides the point. Although I would have preferred Freddie Gibbs to win, it is what it is. Now, personally, people are going to say that Freddie Gibbs got snubbed, for sure. But this was, again, one of the few years that it was actually a more interesting list of nominees. And by that, I mean, I personally would have been fine with any of them winning. Except for Jay Electronica, because that album was a Jay-Z album. I've said it before. Now, well, also, I mean, yeah. Now, each of these albums here, I feel definitely had a reason to be here. With King's Disease, this was Nas's more mature album. It was kind of a concept, you can say. I mean, I think this is also one of the few times that Nas has worked solely with one producer, and in this case, Hit Boy. I mean, last time we had Nasir, and that was a train wreck, but we don't talk about Nasir. It doesn't exist. So I can understand why Nas was even nominated. Like, this was a very high-profile album for him. And given how big of a year Hit Boy had last year, it makes a lot of sense for this to even be on people's radars. Like, that's dope. And again, like I said, Nas has been in the game for damn near 30 years, so it's been a long time coming. I mean, again, not necessarily for this album. Like, this album was good. Like, I mean, I only buy merch for things that I actually enjoy, so, you know. This was a good album. But was it necessarily, like, was it an album that I thought was going to win? No, not at all. And that's for a few reasons, I'd say. The biggest being that I didn't realize that people listen to Nas like that still. Like, yes, I enjoyed the album. And in my review of it, I spoke very highly of it. But I really did not expect this to, well, first of all, even be nominated, but to get the actual award. And I'm not trying to say that it was a bad album. Like, I'm going to keep reiterating that. It is not a bad album. It's just surprising to me that it won over some of the others. But, I mean, the Grammys are always political. So there's probably some stuff going on behind the scenes that people aren't really aware about. Which is probably why The Weeknd is boycotting them, as are a few other people. I mean, that's not out of the ordinary. The Grammys have always been kind of looked down upon from a lot of people in the industry, so that's not really a new thing. Now, like I said, King's Disease, okay, good album. Personally, I wouldn't have voted for it. Like, if it was up to me, obviously Alfredo for me. Like, Alfredo is the album out of those 5 that I feel deserved it the most, because it was just the album I returned to the most frequently and had the fewest skips on. And I just felt like overall, as a total project or a total package, it was more complete and easier to listen to. Just everything that makes a good album for me. Hence why it was on my top 10 of last year. And King's Disease was not. And neither was The Allegory, A Written Testimony, or Black Habits. So that's my evidence. But I can also see why it wasn't awarded, because this is the first time Freddie Gibbs was nominated. This is the first year that, well, not maybe first year or two that people have really been paying attention to Freddie Gibbs. Prior to Bandana, people may have heard of him in passing. People may have heard of him doing work with Madlib, but also those people who knew that he was doing work with Madlib are people who are deep in the underground and actually listen to music that isn't on the radio. But that's a whole nother discussion. Now, with Freddie Gibbs recently, like, obviously he's gotten a lot more attention. So yeah, it would have made sense for him to win because everyone's hyping him up. Dope. So that's why when they said Nas, I'm like, really? All right. I mean, again, it is what it is. But yeah, for me, still would have been Alfredo first, and then I would actually had D Smoke's Black Habits second. Actually, it'd be between D Smoke and Royce da 5'9". D Smoke, because I fully enjoyed Black Habits. It was a really solid project, and given that that was the first time I listened to D Smoke, dope. But I also understand why he was even nominated, because he was on that Netflix show and people knew him. So people were like, oh yeah, maybe we should have him nominated. Dope. Sure. Go for it. That's totally reasonable. It was a good album. Was it necessarily as good as the other ones? Nah. I don't think so. I mean, it was enjoyable, but realistically, since it dropped, I maybe listened to it. Like, when it dropped, I listened to it pretty consistently for about a week or two. And then I didn't really go back to it. Don't know why. But even when I go back to it fairly, like, in the last couple months, I'm just like, it's alright. But the reason that I would have it as a second option is because of just what I know about D Smoke and just kind of stuff around him. Like, with his album, he sounded like Kendrick, but that's just his accent. So people would probably be like, oh shit, this is dope. This is the closest thing we'll get to Kendrick before Kendrick finally drops. Cool. But I think, like I said, the main reason that he probably got nominated was because of him winning the Netflix show or being on the Netflix show. I don't actually remember if he won or not, because I don't care for those types of shows. But regardless, he has that recognition from that. So people know who he is. Now, with Royce da 5'9", in terms of projects that I enjoyed, that probably would have been second, honestly, and like right behind Alfredo, because it's one of those rap albums. But like I said in my review, it almost feels like it didn't actually do what it set out to do. Because an allegory is meant to be like a large metaphor, keeping it as simplified as possible. So he didn't really do anything of that in that nature, I felt, in the album. And I tried to go back multiple times to really like understand it, and that was a review that I spent a lot of time on. So I tried to find some meaning behind the title and relating it to the album, but it just didn't make sense to me. Also, the anti-vax lines given the state of the world was, no, please go get vaccinated. I swear to you, that will not cause autism. But yeah, I mean, I again understand why that didn't get the award, because no one was really talking about it, honestly. Like, after it dropped, the only people that really talked about it were people who were into that sort of music. Like, it didn't reach that many people, it felt. Now, with those two, after that, I would put King's Disease, personally. But I've already gone into that. And then Jay Electronica dead last, because this was a Jay-Z album. It was a Jay-Z album featuring Jay Electronica. Yeah, that's all I have to say. Like, I feel like the only reason it was even nominated was because it took him so damn long to release the project. Like, bro, where were you for the last 10 years? I mean, it wasn't bad. It wasn't a bad album. It wasn't amazing. It wasn't Grammy nominee worthy, to me. And I stand by that. Like, it was an okay album. Anyways, like I said, I would have preferred for Freddie Gibbs to have won. But I also understand why he didn't. Like, he's still fairly new in the public's eye. For people like me who have been following him for over 10 years, starting from right around the Miseducation of Freddie Gibbs, or Straight Killa No Filla, Midwest, I forget the name of that whole project, but it was kind of like the Outkast album. Like, people who have followed him from back then have always known that he was good. So he didn't have to prove anything to us by winning a Grammy. Like I said, I wish he had won, but it is what it is. Freddie Gibbs is still too new in the public's eye to win. Like, that's like having someone come up out of nowhere and win. Like, I can't think of a good example right now, but like, say you find, like, there's just some random dude rapping their ass off and they just win Rap Album of the Year. Like, you had never heard of them, no one's heard of them, and they won. Like, it's kind of weird. So I get it. Nas is recognizable. That it was the safe option. Anyways, that was my rant on Rap Album of the Year. There are other awards that happened that really are worth talking about. For Best Dance / Electronic Album, K-Tronada for Bubba. I mean, I guess that technically was a dance / electronic album, but K-Tronada is dope, and I'm glad he won. Like, he deserves it. I don't really know anything about dance or electronic music, but hey, fuck it. He won. I like him as a producer, so I'm happy. For Best Music Video, Beyonce, Blue Ivy, and WizKid for Brown Skin Girl. That's dope too. I'm happy for that. I think they were saying that Blue Ivy is now the second youngest Grammy Award winner, which is crazy. One that was very interesting to me was Best Contemporary Christian Music Album. Kanye West, Jesus is King. Which to me is just hilarious, because a few years ago, Kanye was pissing on the Grammys. Like, literally. So for him to go from something like that to winning a Christian, like, Best Christian Album award is just funny to me. Like, it seemed so out of character and just so different from what people have, like, known Kanye for. But that's dope. St. John won Best Remix Recording for the Imanbek's remix of Roses. I still prefer the original, but I know that particular remix has gotten a lot of attention. So, good for him. St. John deserves it. He deserves it. Burna Boy won Best Global Music Album for Twice as Tall. That one was actually really good. I mean, it's not what I normally listen to, so I obviously didn't talk about it or review it, but it was an enjoyable listen. Not something that I would return to frequently because, again, that is not the type of music I typically get into, but it was good. It was enjoyable. Best Traditional R&B Performance was Ladisi for Anything For You. That's dope. I think she's from the Bay too, so that's awesome. Oh, Thundercat won for Best Progressive R&B Album for It Is What It Is. Good for him. I love Thundercat, so anytime that he gets a win, I'm happy. And then I guess the last one that I wanted to bring up was Best Rap Performance was Megan Thee Stallion and Beyonce for Savage. I guess they changed the name of the remix to just Savage, but that's fine. It was a good song. It was a good performance. It was dope. The only other one that was in there that I remember, it's going to be bright for this real quick. Oh yeah, okay. So the other ones that were on there was Deep Reverence from Big Sean and Nipsey Hussle. It was Bop by DaBaby, What's Poppin' from Jack Harlow, The Bigger Picture from Lil Baby, and Dior from Pop Smoke. I'm actually surprised that Dior didn't win because that just seemed like something that they would do. They're like, oh yes, this man has passed away. We have to give him an award. Like, I feel like a lot of times with awards, they just kind of be like, hey, this person died, so we kind of got to give them an award. I don't know if that's actually how that goes, but that's how I feel. I mean, at least that's what it feels like, because, I don't know, whenever someone dies, there are a lot of people drawing attention to them, so I feel like they would have capitalized on it. Because fuck the Grammys. Anyways. Those are all at least the awards that I wanted to talk about for now. Like, you know, I mean, there's going to be other awards out there, but these are the ones that are most relevant to me and this platform. So that's what I wanted to talk about. And all of these are as of 3:27 p.m. on March 14th, 2021. So, you know, things could change. I really do wish that I was really hoping that Freddie Gibbs would have won just so I could talk shit to everyone who was like, man, why you like Freddie Gibbs so much? Why are you hyping him up like he's the greatest? Bitch, I love him. Pause. No, I mean, I've been listening to him for so long, so it would have been, I don't know, like, you know when you support someone for so long that when they win, it feels like you win? It's kind of that. So, I don't know. Like, I know there's people who say that about Nas too, but Nas has always been critically acclaimed. Like, at least for Illmatic. Like, sure, you might not like his other albums, but Illmatic is a fucking classic, so everyone already knows that. So you don't necessarily need an award to further that point. With Freddie Gibbs and everyone else, really, they were mostly unknown. So getting that award would have been great for them. But we still got Grammy nominee Freddie Gibbs. So there's that. I don't know. This whole Grammy thing is weird to me, but it's cool. I mean, I'm not mad at any of the awards or people who won the awards. Like, I get it. I am curious though to see who else actually won or was nominated for the other ones. Went too far down. Oh yeah, the other one that they didn't actually do yet, it seems. Oh my god, this website is trash. The other one that they didn't announce yet, I think, was Best Rap Song. And now the website's just, okay, cool. Well, anyways, for Best R&B. God damn it. Okay, well, they haven't said it. But I know with the Best Rap Song, they did nominate Roddy Ricch. Let's see. Yeah, so we had Lil Baby for The Bigger Picture, Roddy Ricch, The Box, Drake and Lil Durk, Laugh Now, Cry Later, DaBaby and Roddy Ricch, Rockstar, Megan Thee Stallion and Beyonce, Savage. I wouldn't be surprised if Megan wins again. But, we'll have to see. The other one that makes a lot of sense to me to potentially win would be The Box. Because if you were outside when The Box came out, that's all that was playing. Like, it was weird. There was a whole, 2 months, it felt like, where everyone was just listening to The Box. Or playing The Box. Or using it in their TikToks and IG videos and shit. It was weird. I mean, it makes sense because it was one of those songs, but it was weird still. But another song that I feel like definitely should be considered was The Bigger Picture, because The Bigger Picture was a dope ass song. It was amazing. I wasn't expecting that sort of song from Lil Baby, and it was so good. It was so well done. But we're probably not gonna get that because it's the Grammys. We're gonna go with the most popular option, which is probably gonna be between Drake and Megan Thee Stallion, but probably Megan Thee Stallion. Just being realistic, it's not a bad song for sure, but it's expected. I feel. I can't wait to be wrong though. I mean, I'm surprised they didn't announce that yet because they announced Rap Album of the Year and all the other ones, but whatever. The Grammys actually go live in about 2 hours, so whatever other awards, I guess, are going to be talked about then. Fuck. But, that's pretty much all I got. I think I've rambled on enough about the Grammys. I'm tired now. There's always next year. But I am really curious to see who get nominated. Who has to drop that it's a for sure thing. Yes, this is the person that's going to win. I mean, clearly we're expecting an album from Drake this year, so that's probably going to get a Grammy nomination. Unless he decides to side with The Weeknd and just boycott the Grammys as well. But we'll have to wait and see for that. If Kendrick drops, he's probably going to get nominated. But also, I feel like Kendrick would be the type of person to be like, no, fuck the Grammys. But again, we will have to wait and see. I don't really know who else could come out that would really be like, yes, they should win a Grammy. If we get another Freddie Gibbs album, if we get Montana, which is supposed to be the third in the Pinata Bandana trilogy, maybe. Again, we'll have to wait and see. I don't know anything yet. But realistically, it's probably just going to be the more popular music that comes out. So it's not going to be anything that I'm necessarily super excited about. But who knows? They might surprise me again like they did this year. Let me know in the comments below if my thoughts on this are incorrect or if they don't align with yours. Because opinions are clearly subjective, and someone always has to be right with opinions. Opinions are not personal at all. That's crazy. Also, let me know who you think might be nominated for next year's Grammys. Also, like and subscribe if you want to see more content like this. Thank you for watching, and please stay safe out there.